February 26th, 1959. A search team struggles through chest-deep snow on a mountain called Syakhl in the Northern Urals. They're looking for 9 missing hikers. What they find will become one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in modern history. The tent is half collapsed, buried in snow. But as they get closer, something is very wrong. The tent is slashed open, multiple cuts, long and deliberate slashes. Inside the tent, everything is still there. Boots, winter coats, food, cameras, everything you would need to survive at negative 40-degree temperatures. All of it abandoned. 9 sets of footprints lead away from the tent down the mountain. The search team follows them. They can see these people weren't running. They were walking calmly in an orderly line, in their socks, in negative 40 degrees. These weren't naive kids, by the way. This was a serious expedition led by serious people. 10 experienced hikers, students at the Ural Polytechnical Institute. Their leader was Dyatlov, 23 years old, a planner, someone who prepared for every contingency. These people were certified for the highest level of Soviet winter expeditions. On January 28th, one member, Yuri Yudin, turned back due to medical issues. There's a photograph of them saying goodbye. It is the last time anyone saw them alive. Yudin would spend 54 years trying to understand what happened to his friends. He died in 2013, still not knowing. Over the next several days, their diaries and cameras documented normal winter expedition. Snow, cold, difficult terrain, but nothing unusual. They're in good spirits. They joke about philosophy, they laugh. On February 1st, they begin moving through a mountain pass. But the weather turns, visibility drops, they lose their direction. When they realize their mistake, Dyatlov makes a decision. Rather than descend to the forest where they'd have shelter, he decides to camp right there, on the exposed slope. The last entry in the group diary reads, "It is difficult to imagine such comfort on a mountain ridge with a roaring wind outside, hundreds of kilometers from any inhabited place." 16 hours later, something happens inside that tent, something that makes 9 experienced mountaineers cut their way out and walk calmly, deliberately down the mountain without their shoes. They had time to cut the canvas, but they didn't have time to grab the knives they'd used. They didn't take coats. What could possibly be inside a tent that is worse than negative 40 degrees? February 26th, the search teams follow the footprints 1.5 kilometers down to a large cedar tree. Underneath that tree, next to the remains of a small fire, they find the first 2 bodies, both dressed only in underwear. The temperature when they died was negative 30. The cedar tree shows damage, branches broken 5 meters up. Someone climbed it desperately. But why? Over the next few days, 3 more bodies. Zenaida collapsed face down, Rustam frozen mid-stride, and Dyatlov himself lying on his back, arms crossed. All 3 were trying to return to the tent when they died, but all 3 have injuries. Bruised knuckles, facial abrasions. Rustam has a skull fracture. From what? May 5th, 2 months later, the snow melts. Under 4 meters of snow, deep in a ravine, they find the last 4 bodies, and these 4 are different. Ludmila Dubinina. Ribs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 broken. Massive internal bleeding. Her eyes are missing. Her tongue is missing. The medical examiner compares the force to a car crash, but there's no external trauma. What crushed her chest without leaving a mark on her skin? It gets worse. Semyon Zolotaryov, broken ribs, eyes missing, severe chest trauma. Nikolai Thibault-Grignol, massive skull fractures. And Alexander Kolovatov, no fatal injuries. He died of hypothermia while holding Semyon, as if trying to keep him warm, even though his chest was already crushed. And then there's the radiation. 3 articles of clothing tested positive, all from the Ravine group. Levels higher than expected. 2 of them worked at nuclear facilities, sure, so maybe it's contamination from their jobs? But why only 3 items? Why only the Ravine group? If they walked through radioactive dust on the mountain, wouldn't everyone be affected? May 28, 1959, the investigation closes. The official conclusion is the cause of death was a compelling natural force which the hikers were unable to overcome. That's not an explanation, that's an admission of defeat. The files were immediately sealed and sent to a secret archive. In 65 years, we've had hundreds of theories. Avalanche explains why they left, but not the calm footprints or the lack of debris. Military weapons test explains the trauma, but why let searchers document everything? Paradoxical undressing, infrasound causing tannic? Every theory explains half the evidence and fails completely on the other half. Here's what makes this genuinely disturbing. We aren't missing evidence. We have photos, diaries, autopsies. We have more documentation than most historical events, and we still don't know. Maybe the answer isn't one thing. Or maybe something happened on that mountain that doesn't fit our understanding of how the world works. The site is visited by hundreds of hikers every year now. No one else has died there. It's just a mountain. But for 9 people on February 1st, 1959, it became something else. Why did experienced mountaineers choose freezing to death over staying in their tent? What crushed 3 people's chests without breaking their skin? What did they see from the cedar tree? These aren't rhetorical questions. They are real questions without answers. The mountain gave back their bodies, but it kept their story. And maybe that's what we're really uncomfortable with. Not that we can't solve the mystery, but that some mysteries refuse to be solved. The truth is still up there, somewhere between the footprints and the photographs, and it isn't telling.